This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Mark.
Welcome back to the Let's Talk Business podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about the growth of U.S. companies using overseas remote workers, how to determine if a business owner is coachable, which I'm excited to get your feedback on that, and the importance of website SEO optimization. How we've talked about that quite a bit here, and people think that DIY part of it is very effective. And of course, there's lots of reasons why it is not. So I'm excited to chat about that. I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the owner of Krukus Virtual Staffing, a company that saves business owners thousands of dollars a month by hiring skilled English-speaking virtual assistants from the Philippines and Latin America.
And I am one of your co-hosts, Heather Boehme, certified business coach and owner of Onset Professional Development, helping burnt-out business owners take control of their business so that they can actually enjoy their lives.
And I'm Howie Nestel, also a co-host with the most famous Marc Ebinger, the main host of the Let's Talk Business podcast. And I own an advertising agency called Sharkmatic Advertising. I've been doing this thing for 3 decades. They call marketing, and man, has it changed. But it has changed a lot faster in the last 10 years than it did in the first 20 years I was in marketing. So I'm excited to talk about that. We specialize in graphic design, web design, and search engine optimization.
And I'm your newest co-host, Keaton Frieberg. I own Texas Suits Law Firm, where we work with small businesses, real estate investors, helping them accomplish their business and real estate needs.
Love it. Excited to have you on the show, too. Nice suit, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Is that a custom suit?
It is.
It is?
It's like a required bare minimum level for Keaton and his lawyers. You have to have nice suits to be working at Texas Suits.
Everybody at Christmas, all the attorneys do get a custom suit for Christmas.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
I love that.
Very fitting.
What about your podcast host?
Yeah.
I mean, is that in the budget,
All,
too?
all in due time, Mark.
I got this shirt on sale at the outlet stores in San Marcos.
Yeah, I got this one on sale over at Nordstrom Rack.
I cobbled together my current suit. I had pink pants, and then I found this pink over thing, and it turned into a whole suit on accident.
That is a custom suit
It's
because
a
you
custom
put it
suit.
together.
Turns out when you go back to pre-pregnancy
bespoke.
pants, they match
Right.
things that you got during pregnancy. So win.
Love it.
As many times as I've looked up the word bespoke, it's like custom, but why can't they just use the word custom, right?
Because
Why
it
do they have to
sounds
say bespoke?
So much
fancier.
better.
It does. It sounds very British.
Sounds like
or
something Kian would say, yeah. I
Bespoke.
thanked him
Bespoke.
for the holiday.
He was on the show earlier, and he had his collar turned up like it was
I
1992.
saw that. I was going to say something, but I didn't because I thought it'd be
Was
mean.
he in a polo shirt or a
Yeah,
Sergio
polo shirt when it
Tacchini?
turned up. I'm like, what is this?
Did you see that post on Twitter where like London posts something like, say something that you're grateful to Britain for, and they were like, you are the world's leader for the reason there are Independence Days. So thank you for giving us so many Independence Days.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that, but that makes sense. Yeah.
They were quite the empire back
They
in the day. I
were.
guess.
They were the
right.
colonizers.
Colonizers. All right, so today it's just us hosts. Is how we've been talking about, wanting to do something like this where we can just all chat. And Dr. Hayden Brown was supposed to be in, and he had to cancel because he's working really, really hard.
Well, he's busy.
He's a
Good.
doctor.
Yeah, he's growing quite a bit over there. And
They just started up, right? Like 2 months ago?
Brooke and Jennifer are both going over there, and they love it. So, and they've got like a couple therapy dogs in there too. I don't know if they're real therapy dogs, but they just hang out like labradoodles or something. And
I thought you were going to tell me they walk on people's backs.
Oh, they
like
should,
those
right?
goats, like those
Cool.
yoga
I'm trying to
goats.
teach my kids how to do that.
goating with yogas or something.
Right.
Goat yoga.
Goating with
Yeah, goat
yogas.
yoga.
Yoga with goating.
Hey, that's why.
don't know.
That's why so many countries around the world hate the United States, because while they're fighting for survival and their currency has dropped 90% in value, we're selling yoga classes where goats walk on your back, for $40
Well,
a
shouldn't
class.
that inspire them?
Seriously, I mean, like,
Why do they have to get mad? Why not just be inspired by what's going on over here and do something different?
because we're pompous and snobby about
Why
it.
not? I would say the United States gives more probably than any other country.
We do, but we rub it in people's faces.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we do. Oh, we have shows about putting somebody on an island to survive for a week, and we give them $1 million.
Have you seen
Really?
the new
when
show
people
on
live
Netflix?
on islands, you know what I
It's-
mean, and they hunt their own food, and we're celebrating that, like, wow, you survived 7 days. We're giving you $1 million. Like,
Have you seen
people
the
are like,
new-
shit, I live on this. I live on the same island. Been here for 12 generations.
Nobody's giving me any
anything,
money.
so.
Well, you're not entertaining.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Me and my husband are watching a new Netflix show, and it's all about collectibles. There's a $1 billion company that just sells like baseball cards and stuff, and they're just like, there was a baseball card, they unboxed it like $20K a box, and then the card sold for $1.8 million in America.
Yeah.
America. Greatest land anybody ever stole. What?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, but it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
Finders keepers.
I don't know if it's
Stealers
finders
keepers.
keepers.
Well, we found
Takers
it, we
keepers.
stole it, and now it's ours.
It is. Yeah. You guys watch Yellowstone at all?
Yes.
You guys all watched
No,
Yellowstone?
I've heard good
I
things.
got
like
all the way up
required
to the
viewing, I
fourth
think.
season.
I've watched a few.
Yeah. It's a good show.
You've
Yeah.
watched them all?
It's fantastic. No, I've only watched up to like when they stopped. They did like a half season.
Yeah.
And then I fell off, and I haven't been watching as much TV, but it's amazing.
Yeah, well, they haven't gone back to finish it up, but so Rip and Beth are like, they're the stars of the show. Their relationship is super cool. I mean, he's like a man's man, and he does all the bad stuff, and she's like,
Is that the brother and
crazy
sister?
Psycho girl. What?
No.
Is that the brother and sister?
No. Well, the brother and sister.
Jamie's the brother.
They're
that
crazy
we all
too,
hate.
right?
Yeah, well, Jamie, that backstory there is pretty bad. Jamie did something really bad to her, and she just will not let it go. I mean,
As she shouldn't. I mean, I'm a little vindictive, but that's pretty. What he did was
that's
really
next
bad.
level vindictive right there. It's like there's certain people that if you piss them off, that's it.
That's it, you're done.
Yeah,
One and
yeah.
done.
They'll they'll hunt you on a regular
Yeah,
basis.
they'll go to scorched earth policy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why, consumers are also emotional animals. They don't piss off a client because they'll give you bad reviews. They'll tell a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Best fight is the one you don't have.
Now you recently, since we're here,
a
right?
good
You
point.
recently had one of these, right? I mean, there was a somebody did a balloon thing for you, and it didn't turn out well. Do you want to talk about it?
Oh, yeah, I won't drop any names.
Sure, you don't have to.
But everything turned out great, except that when I got the final bill, they added a whole bunch of other things to the bill, and they tried to explain it to me afterwards. And I said, well, those would be great things to know 3 days ago when I had the opportunity to say, no, I'll do this myself, whatever. So I appreciate the fact that you did all that stuff, but I'm not paying for it.
Because it wasn't included in the original estimate.
It wasn't.
You don't tack on charges after the fact.
Well, apparently people who have businesses think that they can. If they do the work, they can tack on extra. So she started yelling, and then once you get my goat, speaking of goats, then I'm not going to say I thoroughly enjoy throwing the gloves off, but I don't mind a good fight. So then I raised my voice and I said, hey, listen, I'm done listening to you. Now you're going to listen to me for a second. We're going to find a common ground, or we go to scorched earth. You decide. I said, I'm not paying what you're asking, and I understand that I'm not going to pay what I agreed to pay. So we're going to meet somewhere against my better nature, but in order to put it behind us, I'm going to do that. I go, it's the definition of a successful compromise. Nobody gets what they wanted. I said, but I'm not paying this bill. And then I got the person who introduced us on the phone. I said, give me 1 second. Then I got the person who introduced us on the phone. And I said, now I want your unbiased opinion. And then so she chimed in. And I said, now, not only are you pissing off a one-time, last-time client, now you're going to piss off possibly somebody who introduced us that can give you a lot more business and has given you business in the past. So you decide. And so we settled on a price. And that's it. And then the person who introduced us apologized. Well, I said, you don't have to apologize. I go, that's, welcome to business and welcome to adulthood, Be adaptable. But shitty business. Because then when you don't like somebody who was a vendor, you'll tell 7 to 10 people. When you like somebody, good luck even getting a review from them. They loved your work. They don't even give you a review. But boy, piss them off. They're going to go on Yelp, LinkedIn, Facebook, Manta, a bunch of obscure other places, and Glassdoor, even if they didn't work for you, and they'll leave you a bad review. Don't piss people off.
Don't they call that Karen or something like that?
Yeah.
Did they admit that they...
No. They just said this is ridiculous, and she got insulted me personally, and then insulted the person who put me in touch
Was this the owner?
Yes.
Oh my
It's a little
gosh.
shocking that people do allow like their emotions to just take over in business situations. I
just
saw
can't.
that all the time in real estate with agents that I'd be negotiating against. They would take things that happened in the transaction personally and just go off. And I was like, you need to have a layer of separation here.
That's why consumers are emotional animals, and they are. And it's like getting somebody cornered, and they get really mad, and they'll do things that are detrimental to their own business and their own livelihood.
Scorched earth.
Yeah,
It's like those airport videos
right.
when people just go crazy
Yeah,
at
but
airports.
those people are drunk. They're intoxicated. They
Wait, you're talking
drank
about-
I
too
don't
much.
think that's always true, Howie. I've seen some non-drunk people. Maybe a family member.
You guys know who Kyle is it Kyle and
Not going to
Peel?
say any names.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You ever watch their airplane stuff that they've done?
I have. I've watched it. Yeah.
Those are great. Like
Yeah.
the raising your voice. You're raising your voice. The guy he was talking really quiet like that. He's accusing him. You're raising your voice. Oh, those are
I
funny.
did that whisper thing on my kid the other day. She started yelling, and I just got really quiet. And it worked. It works on 4-year-old. It should probably work on a grown human being, too. Because they are the most unreasonable people I've ever met, 4-year-olds.
All right, so let's change gears here a little bit
Okay.
and talk about, I guess, what we said we were going to talk about in the beginning of it. But hey, it's that kind of show. It'll just go wherever it goes. But I did want to hit on, so obviously I'm in the virtual assistant staffing business. I source out of the Philippines and Latin America, and who knows down the road where we'll source from. But we like to find skilled people to help small business owners get into the employment game without having to out of pocket a whole bunch of money or a whole bunch of red tape. And Keaton, you've had one of our VAs now. Has it been a year?
Yeah, I think it's been. I think
Been over a
Martha's
year?
been with us for about a year.
Yeah. So just give me a rundown on like what she's doing and like the overall quality. Give me an honest review feedback about what's going on.
Sure. Yeah. So getting into what she actually does for me is super duper helpful because I have her do a wide variety of things. I have a couple businesses, and so I have her help out with every repetitive task I can. So some of these tasks could be, we were actually talking about this a little bit earlier. She helps build out our CRM, which isn't necessarily repetitive, but at the end of the day, the tasks that she builds out for the type of client or the type of work that we're doing at the law firm is repetitive. And so she helps build out our CRM. So she knows, I use ClickUp is the CRM that I use. And she knows it very well. She actually knew it prior to working with me, which was super helpful. And so she was able to get in. I said, hey, look, I actually just sent her a YouTube video and I was like, I like what that attorney did in that with that ClickUp build out. And I said, wait, build that out. And she did it. So that worked out really well. Simple things like, so I think that's kind of on the, it is a little bit more difficult to work with the CRM, I'd say. And so that's on the more difficult scale. She emails me every morning and tells me what client birthday I have that day. So anybody that's in my list, it could be from To the Moon. It could be law firm client. Doesn't matter. Anybody whose birthday it is, she emails me and I immediately, and then she even puts together like little happy birthday, whatever, but she doesn't know them personally. I know them personally. So I'll add something in there if I have a close relationship with them, so I can send.
And then you email the client.
And then I email the client.
Okay.
Well, that's
Yeah,
a great
or
idea.
text the
I need a
client, depending
pen
on
so I
what,
can write
depending
that
on
down
my
if they give me
relationship with them.
ideas.
You ever going to get to the point where you'll have her send the emails?
Maybe I'm trying to keep it as, and if she can do it coming from my email account, then yeah, because that would help.
Yeah,
I'm just
you
trying to keep
can
it
do
as
that.
personal as possible.
Yeah, it's like, all my connections that I do. I mean, it's like all of the, I mean, there might be 1 out of 100 that I'll actually do myself. Those are all handled by Leslie.
Who was I
Somebody
talking to
else.
the other
Okay.
day
Yeah,
that
and they
was
look
like
like they're
text
coming from
Mark,
me.
but
They do.
really Leslie?
Oh yeah, that
it was
that
Genevieve.
happens. No, and now sometimes I'll answer. I'm like, "Hey, Mark, what's happening?" He goes, "Oh, this is Leslie." Mark's assistant. I'm like, "Oh shit, I got." I'm like, oh, "Okay."
Yeah, Genevieve
happened
like
to me
said
with
something
Emon,
like,
too.
"Oh yeah, I
Really?
need to
You
reach
get
out to
somebody
Mark about
else?
that." I was
Yeah.
like, "Why? Leslie's gonna do it."
All right,
Like,
so what else? What else?
Next steps are a big thing at my firm. I talk with staff about it over and over and over again. There should always be a next step with a client. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe the next step is maybe you're done with their file and the next step is go get a good Google review. I don't care. There's a next step always. Or maybe it's close out the file. So, but sometimes you can kind of get lost in the sauce of work and you can maybe click off a task and all of a sudden you haven't gone and set a next step, or maybe there wasn't an automatic next step that popped up. So once a month, she also scrapes all of our client projects that we're working on, and she looks to make sure that everybody has a next step. Because the last thing I want to do is have somebody miss somebody's project or forget about something. So as long as it's once a month, I think I could probably have her do it every 2 weeks. Would probably be helpful too. That one's super duper helpful.
Okay.
Let me think. As far as To the Moon, she builds our estimate proposals, sends them out. So somebody communicates the kind of situation, the moving situation that they're going into. They'll convey her the information. She'll build it out, and then she'll send that over to the client.
So walk me through that in a little bit more detail. So the information is coming from the field. It goes to Martha, your assistant, and then she puts it to a document and does all that. Does she come up with the numbers, or are the numbers like this is what the price is going to be? Does she have to like interpret any information to come up with something, or is it simply just transcribing?
Sure, she doesn't have to yet, but the goal is, and that's on us. What we're working on, and that's one thing that's great about a VA, or honestly any staff member, is that it forces you to break down your steps. And so that's something we're working on now, is making it so that she knows that, okay, if there's a couch, 2 sofas, a bed, and a dresser, it's going to take 35 minutes or whatever. 35 minutes equates to $100 of whatever dollars. So working on building out that ability, I guess, is the next step. So she doesn't have to yet.
That might be something that we can integrate into the website, with a database-driven website where people select what they're moving.
Oh,
and they say it's going to be 30 boxes. These are the size, and they could be size ranges. If they're shoebox size, they're this price. But if they're 20 inch by 20 inch, then there's certain size, and then you put it all in, and then it calculates it or sends it to her.
U-Haul has something kind of like that. Last time I moved, it was before I knew you, Keaton.
I won't hold it against you.
But basically, it's like, what size apartment or house do you have? How many rooms do you have? And it just kind of estimates what kind of truck you're going to need based on the size. Yeah. So it's not as granular.
That's where you do a little R&D.
I like
research and duplicate.
Rip off
duplicate, and then customize. Because it's not going to be for a moving truck. It's going to be for a moving truck plus moving people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I like it.
That would be nice, though, to be able to just
I bet you can get a lot through square footage, number of rooms, how many beds.
If I Zillow a house, I can give somebody a range. I'm pretty close.
And you guys do packing, too, or just moving?
Yeah.
White glove packing. They do a great job in packing and wrapping. I've already had to move a couple.
Whenever I move next, that is the elite next step, because packing is the worst. But having someone pack for you is like, because my husband packed last time because I was working. He didn't label the boxes.
Oh, that's, yeah.
I had no idea. I had to unpack the whole house because I had no idea where anything was, and it was chaos.
Well,
Kitchen
you didn't
stuff,
tell him to mark the box.
It's a whole different conversation.
Did he pack the whole kitchen himself?
He packed everything himself.
Did he do a good job at least packing them, or no?
Well, he did a good job packing. He used to work at a grocery store, so he's very proud of his packing skills. But the thing is, he would like have room left over in a kitchen box, and he would just pop over to the kitchen, like the dining room, and just start throwing stuff from the dining room or like the hall closet into a kitchen box, and then he would label it kitchen. So I had like 5 kitchen boxes, and I would open them up, and all of a sudden they're my throw pillows. Like when I pack, what is in the room stays in the box, and then you have an itemized list on the outside of the box so that when I need something, I can just go in the box exactly that I need and grab it out. But with him, it was just like helter-skelter. If it fit in the box, it goes in the box. Who knows? I'm still upset about it.
I can see
I'm
it
so
visibly.
upset.
Sounds like Yellowstone,
I'm hiring
man.
packers.
Sounds like Yellowstone. I haven't even watched a show in your home.
That's a line item in my budgeting for whenever we move in the future is going to be packers, because I'm never letting that happen again.
So let's talk about any reservations that you have, maybe initially, and then just over time, changing your opinion about what maybe your VA has access to. Cybersecurity is a thing, but I know you got a connection somewhere in there to help with that. So get into that a little bit about your initial hesitation as far as access, or even what am I going to have her do to where you're at now, that evolution.
Sure. So as far as having access, I pretty much give her access to almost everything. There's one law firm database that she doesn't have access to. I don't think she needs it. But pretty much for the most part, she has access to Instagram. She has her own email address. I'm interested in having her, as you talked about earlier, maybe being able to get into my email somehow. I just haven't pulled the trigger for how to do that.
Where's your email hosted?
So I actually use an email called Superhuman. I don't know if that's... And this
Like Gary Brecka. Oh, that's Ultimate Human. Sorry.
No, this one is it's kind of like an AI email, and so I don't know if that's what you mean by hosting or like it starts through Microsoft Office, but then I connect it through Superhuman.
Right. So it's a Microsoft email. So
Okay,
it's
yeah.
a Microsoft 365 email.
Yes.
And you can give permissions for somebody else to log in and access that. Really where it helps is organizing that email. Once she learns how to put stuff in certain folders, like stuff that you need to check versus, possible spam or stuff that's for her or for somebody else to do, that's an evolutionary process.
Yeah,
that
she can do a
start.
sent email folder also where what she sends out goes in that folder.
See, Mark, I feel like this would be a good YouTube video just informationally for you to make, because I think there are business owners who don't even realize that you can give a VA just post-level access to Facebook. And there's a lot you do on Facebook. There's, your credit cards and your ads and stuff that you may not want to give them access to, but they can just manage it. And same with your LinkedIn, and same with your CRM, and same with your
Bank
email.
accounts.
Bank accounts,
Yeah,
But
read-onlys.
you just don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So when you think I'm going to hire a VA, you think, well, they can't really do anything because I'm not going to trust a VA with my email. But if they knew that, oh no, you're not going to get your email hacked on accident because...
Let me tell
This
you
is
that
how.
I've not heard a single case of any client of mine. I've had 1,500 clients in 30 years where they said their VA stole anything from them. But I have had plenty of clients that had employees who took their passwords, locked them out of social media and all that because they're pissed off employees.
The
That's true. I've never heard
passwords,
of anything.
I've only heard
virtually.
one, and they went and found their own VA, but it was less the VA stealing it, and it was more that they just dipped. The VA just disappeared and just didn't say anything, and then they didn't know the password, and they'd let the VA set up.
Yeah, you got to have a
they
password
couldn't recover
manager.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like LastPass is a great password manager. Everything you give your VA access should be in there. Whether or not they can see the password is really not the point, right? You just need to track it so that you can go, okay, well, if your VA disappears on you, whether they could, have an accident or a family emergency or whatever, you got to be able to access things. You need to have a full list of what they're doing. So a password manager is super valuable.
Just
when you're
in
doing that.
general, everyone should have a password manager, but
Yeah, for our alarm system at the office and also at the house, I have the master control. So whenever an employee is going to leave or be let go, I change their password. They have no access to the apps. Same thing with ADP and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, can I talk to you for just a second? He's like, yeah, man, none of my apps work. That's what I want to talk to you about. Come here real quick.
Yeah, you do it first.
Yeah.
Last question I had on this was, is there anything in the legal area, like having for a lawyer or a law firm having a VA, that you're like, this is an area that they shouldn't have access to or they shouldn't be doing? Where do you cap that? Or where do you keep them from?
I mean, you probably social security numbers and stuff like that. I don't know, but that's the stuff that's all stored in this other compartment that I'm telling you about. That I don't think. Other than that, they're going to have access to the facts. All of us pretty much would have access to the facts of a legal case. The only thing I could think of that might come up is maybe there's a big acquisition happening and you don't want it to be. It would be a really big deal if it went public. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but it'd be a really big deal. And if that got out, that would, it would be kind of on you. I mean, but you make them sign a confidentiality agreement, non-disclosure agreements, just like you do like I do with my paralegals, with anybody that's going to be a part of the firm. So that does kind of I'm not saying it shifts the risk, but it does kind of shift the liability a little bit. Because you are doing your due diligence, you are putting the right documents in place to try and prevent something like that from happening. But I don't see it being too big of an issue.
I have a question for you about VAs. Have you run into any experiences where they have access to your social media and they're posting on your behalf, and somehow the platform, locks the account out or says something about the fact that they're like a user in a foreign country. Not that just because the platform doesn't know that you gave authorization to somebody, and they might think that it's somebody from overseas that's trying to hack your account.
So LinkedIn doesn't like that.
Okay.
They're the ones that I've run into the most problems with. You can only have, so many devices active at the same, like your desktop and your iPad and your phone. If you do 2 desktops or 2 iPhones or 2 iPads, then you could run into an issue. And I have. It's like, hey, we're detecting multiple. And what they think you're doing is automating things, which is funny because I run an automation software on LinkedIn all the time. And it's like, but for some reason it's okay within certain things. But when you start doing stuff, you can do a VPN. So it looks like everybody's in the same areas. They're operating off the same internet. That mitigates some of that, but LinkedIn's the only place I've seen a problem with that. The other reservation is having somebody that you don't, if you've been with your VA for a while and you trust them and you've got certain securities in place, having them run your Facebook personal account. That's a scary area because once you have the Facebook personal account, like the Marc Ebinger one, you can do a lot of things with that. So that's my only hesitation there, but I also see the need for it because there's groups and stuff going on out there that I would like to participate in, but I want to have my VA go and do that for me because I just don't have the time or the mental bandwidth to do it. But those are the only 2 areas that I've seen be a problem because it's 2-factor authentication and where's it coming in from, and Facebook gets a little bit.
Well, what are the best places, the most productive, best return on investment to deploy a VA into? So we talked about social media and reminding you of birthdays and updating CRMs, which are all important stuff. But based on the clients that you've had that have VAs, what have they deployed their VAs in that brought a really good ROI? Is there something related to sales, making appointments, those kinds of things?
It's really about getting their time back. That's the biggest thing so far. Not so much in lead generation or direct ROI, but more of I have all my time back. So when somebody else is managing your phones and you don't have to answer while you're out on a job, that's a big deal, right? If they're operating your CRM correctly, so you're tagging things, you're doing the things you need to be doing in there, they're managing your emails, they're doing your texting for you. I'm doing things that are completely next level within BNI, Business Networking International, that it's like I'm at a completely different level. It's like NFL level compared to high school level with most people are operating at when it comes to networking just because of my VAs. I can do so much more that way.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of time back, but it's not just about having the VA doing the appointment settings and follow-ups, but it's about keeping all of that organized so that I can be methodical in who I'm meeting with and when I'm meeting with, and if it's rescheduled, I can go back to it. You can target who should I be meeting with. Stuff like that takes a lot of mental bandwidth strategy planning that your VA can keep track of. But it is a relationship. You develop that VA over time so they know what to look for. And then you incentivize them too. I think we incentivize Leslie quite a bit. So she makes little bits of money off a lot of different things that we're doing. So I would encourage anybody who wants to keep that VA super excited about what's going on, and it takes a lot of that self-motivation, trying to find ways to incentivize them that make sense on top of their salary.
How long has Leslie been your VA?
Just over a year now.
Wow.
Yeah, we just gave her year plaque a couple of days ago. I think it was July 3rd was her 1-year anniversary. And she's fantastic.
Oh, awesome.
But
yeah, she sent me a text this morning reminding me that I had an appearance with you today at 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are productive. I joke sometimes. I tell people about the time that you and I were having a conversation, and I got a text from Mark while we were having a conversation. I saw his hands, and he was not texting me. So that's how productive he is with his VAs.
Yeah, that happens a lot. When I'm in meetings or whatever, and it's like when I'm at the BNI meeting, there's stuff going on. Hey, do this. I'll send a screenshot or do whatever, and then it all just kind of gets done. But that's next level networking. And speaking of which, coming up on July, I think it's 25th. It's last Thursday here at VentureX. I know you're going to be there, Howie, but I'm going to be speaking on 10Xing your network, your local network, your LinkedIn network, and your email network. And of course, VAs are a part of what I'm doing there, but you can actually supercharge all of that without a VA.
Are you going to talk about the automation stuff too? Great.
Yeah, because automation within LinkedIn, you can literally set it and almost forget it. You have to go in and do some maintenance on it. But I'm doing, over the last month, I did 111 new connections, sent out over 500 connection requests, and got 111 new connections through LinkedIn. And I know one of those has turned into a pretty good relationship for me so far. So that's just one. But yeah, so automation is a thing, but in my opinion, you have to have somebody watching it, because there are certain things like a message. They'll send a message. Well, I'm never on LinkedIn, so it's like I won't even know that happens. But Sarah will kick it over to me and say, "Hey, this is what's going on here," or she'll kick it directly to Leslie. Leslie will book the appointment, and then it'll show up on my calendar. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that if you're in business and you're actively, aggressively trying to grow, you should look to have somebody monitoring every single one of your social media accounts, doing engagements, messaging, participating in groups and events and all kind of stuff. So, but that's scale, truly.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Kind of back to Howie's question, though, is there if you could identify one function that you think that produces the highest ROI from your VA, what would it be?
So I think that proper utilization of social media in an outreach format to book appointments or to look for opportunities. There's a girl named, Andrea Garza. Mm-hmm. She's doing amazing things on Facebook when it comes to looking for business opportunities and then communicating that out to people that she's networked with. She's part of Blue Collar Connect. She's in BNI. So she's constantly, giving, tagging people, and then the rest of the group will then pile on and say, "Oh yeah, Howie's great. You need to, Howie. And it was just a question about a web SEO. Well, who are they going to reach out to, right?
Sure.
They're going to be more open to having Howie reach out to them, or you guys being connected somehow. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity there that, is missed. But to answer your question directly, I'll say that I have 2 recruiters in my business. They're a tag team, right? You need to have redundancy on critical parts of your business. I'll go out and I'll find a client, and as soon as we get them signed up or whatever, I pass it on to my recruiters, and they take care of the rest of it. Out of the whole process, I'm doing about 5% of the work. That's a huge ROI for me, because I'm not having to barely pay attention to the whole thing. It runs on automatic pilot. So I only get involved if there's a serious problem or something, we need a big decision on something. And when I can operate the most critical part of my business without having to be with only 5% of effort, that's huge.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's where I think that like people who are like Howie, your business, for example, you're building out a team of, it's, $7 or $8 an hour, having those people do the day-to-day operational stuff, and then just having team members lead that, you can grow quite a bit. And it does work. It's just finding the right people.
Right.
Yeah. Which sometimes takes time. Well, I appreciate you guys letting me talk a little bit about the virtual staffing stuff, but I did want to talk about finding, in the coaching world, finding people who are coachable. And I think that determining that early on in the conversation would be huge, right? Heather, how do you determine whether or not somebody is coachable? Is that something that you're looking for right away? Are you just looking to swipe their credit card and move along? You know what I mean?
Well, we are sitting in the room with someone who the first time he met me said, "Well, I'm an uncoachable business owner."
That was Howie.
Fully
I was gonna
recognized.
say, I hope the conversation doesn't shift to me about being uncoachable. I only said that because I've been told I was uncoachable.
By
And
Kirby.
I didn't know. Yeah, and Max.
Oh, well, but Max doesn't count. That guy's, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I think there are seasons of coachability too. It's, kind of a factor of feeling the pain at a high enough level that you have reached your ceiling of being able to deal with it on your own. Because everybody has different natural ceilings of things they can do. You've got really high level people who are really great at things, and they're going to go way further than someone who is not naturally great at that thing, right? So they hit the ceiling here. Howie probably hit the ceiling up here, and he didn't need a coach because he was doing
he's
it.
just stubborn.
And I think that everybody can use a coach not only during a season, but to achieve certain things that they themselves were not able to achieve. So it's kind of like everybody needs a therapist, everybody needs a business coach, but sometimes you operate for so long without a coach that you don't even know you need a coach, and then The coaches will determine that you're uncoachable based on the fact that you've done things a certain way for a long time and you've gotten away with it and it's worked. So why would you want to be coachable? Because things have worked, but it's because you don't know what you don't know. Well, what areas have you been able to be as successful in that maybe we can talk about?
And I think there's a level of like, you have to respect, not respect the person, but respect the coach. You have to kind of see where they are and be a little bit scared of them and like respect them to a point where you're willing to allow them to make you uncomfortable.
That's right. And that's kind of like, going, I'm Jewish, so I don't go to a priest for confession. But, if I was Catholic, I probably wouldn't talk to the coach about marital problems because he's never been married, right? He never talked to the priest about that. So therefore, when you're an entrepreneur and you've had a certain level of success, and then you have a young coach that the first business they owned was their coaching business, and then they want to give you advice, doesn't mean that they didn't read a lot of books, that they're not very knowledgeable, and that they can't put you on the fish. But come on, if you haven't been a boat captain taking people fishing out at Matagorda Bay for the last 20 years, chances are I don't want to go fishing with you. You still may know stuff, but that I think happens. And so is it the right coach? Is it the coach with the right information? But I agree with you. I think the client has to respect the coach and be a little bit afraid of the coach, like you would your personal trainer or whatever, that says, hey, stop with the BS. This is what you're going to be doing.
So that's one of the ways I usually like flesh it out with people because, I made grown men cry, but that's kind of what you have to be willing to do if you're going to coach with me and get anything out of it. So if you're not willing to be ridiculously uncomfortable and let me do that without getting defensive, then I don't really want to coach you because it's going to drive massive change, but it's going to be really uncomfortable.
So does that answer your question? What makes somebody uncoachable, or how
now
do you determine?
I want to know how you're making grown men cry.
That's where I was going too.
What are you doing to them?
Well, if you care about something enough and you really want to fix it, and there's something getting in your way, I am extremely good at finding it. Now, not everybody wants to go there, and I've had clients before that I started to hone in. I can usually tell when I'm kind of honing in on the problem point because they start dodging it and they start trying to talk about anything else. And that's usually a great indicator that I'm talking about the right thing. And it's not every coaching call, but those are the kind of coaching calls that don't feel good. I had one last week. It was horrible. I went in thinking I was going to get jazzed and hyped up by my coach. And instead, I think I cried for like an hour after it, and it sucked for the whole day. I had to take the day off early. And it took me like 2 days to recover from that coaching call. But like, I feel so much better now. And I know I've like gotten to a new level. And sometimes that's what it takes. And it's like unearthing nasty little blocks. And that's where it goes into mindset more. Like when you are simply not doing something because you don't know, that's one thing. But if you logically know that you should be doing something and you're still consistently not, and it's important enough for your business that you know you need to do it, but you can't figure out why you're not doing it, well, that's a block. That's a personal thing that's going to be really nasty. It's going to be like ripping open the wound to let it air out so that you can heal it. And that's how I make grown men cry.
Who are the best kinds of clients? People who've never either heard of coaching for their business, or people who've had coaches before and now are looking to get to a new level?
I think it's more about the person that really wants to get to the new level and is willing to do what it's going to take to get there. Because if I ask you, is it worth it to do whatever it takes, and you're like, not, yes, it absolutely is, you may not know what it is that's worth it, but you know deep down inside it's worth it, and you need to figure out what it takes to get to wherever the hell it is you want to go. I can work with that. But what I cannot work with, and I will not work with, is somebody who I'm like, well, have you tried this? And they're like, no, that won't work for me. Right. Have you tried, like, if somebody just shoots down every single path I try to take them on, like, for me, it's draining. I got off lunch one time and that happened, and I was so exhausted. I went to a meeting after that. I had to apologize. I was like, I am so drained. I could fall asleep right now because it just sucks the life out of me to like have somebody just not be willing to try to change anything and not take responsibility.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah,
it's likely that entrepreneur won't make it. in the
You
grand
need some
scheme of things,
tenacity.
if that's their attitude towards, being able to grow.
Yeah. And that's the hard part is you do have to grow as a human being sometimes to grow in your business.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
That makes a lot of sense.
So this is a little bit off topic, but have you ever looked at the way that somebody's business is operating and being like, you just need to put in more time and effort into your business, and you would have a higher chance of being successful? Has that ever been?
Honestly, no. I find that lazy entrepreneurs are efficient entrepreneurs. So like, great. Honestly, lazy. When someone tells me they're lazy, I'm like, dope. That means that you are going to be a lot more creative in getting crap done. I'd rather, like, honestly, I work mostly with people who work harder instead of smarter. But I love a lazy entrepreneur. I want to be one of those. Like, no. If you can figure out how to do everything that you want to do and put less time into it, that's like the dream, isn't it?
But do you ever come across people who fine, being lazy is one thing, but won't do what it takes to get there because they'd rather go to a party or something else like that rather than
that's
put
it.
in
That's
the
that
legwork.
That you
question.
find in your business, because in your business, if you're not billing, you're not making money. So if you're not spending time, aside from your assistants doing stuff and billing their time.
Sure.
But yeah, if you have an attorney that every weekend takes Friday off and whatever, and has no billable hours and all that, sure, they're going to make less money.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. I think it comes back down to, is it worth it? Is whatever you're trying to do worth doing whatever it takes? And if you're really that excited about what you want to accomplish, like everybody's vision is different. Everybody's definition of success is different. So a lot of the times, if that's happening and you're a lawyer and you simply cannot make yourself work anymore because there's a reason. And it might be that you hate being a freaking lawyer.
Sure.
And you got to have the bravery at that point to admit that you're not in the right vehicle to take you to where you want to go. If you're not willing to put in the time that you absolutely have to put in
Real
to make
estate
that,
agents, they they don't want to take on somebody else's list. I'm not going to go sit at somebody's house for 0.5% just to be the showing agent. But you don't know if you're going to meet the next potential buyer that can then sign you up as their buyer agent for the next thing. But they're not going to do it because it's like, oh, that doesn't make sense. I'd rather be at home watching Judge Judy and eating Cheetos than sit there and maybe have a chance at 0.5%.
I'm actually really glad you brought that up because I built my first business in real estate and I was the agent that would have hopped out, but I got so burnt out by it. And I finally had to like face the reality of, I was making a lot of money in real estate. Let's be honest. Like I was making more money in real estate than I was in coaching for the first few years that I did it. And I would be probably making a lot more now because I would have, kept going on that track. But it burnt me out. I didn't want to. Like people would bring me those opportunities and I would take them, but I would hate doing it because I didn't love real estate and it wasn't the right vehicle for me. But after sinking so much time, energy, effort, I was making 6 figures. So that was really hard to pivot out of. But was it worth it to be happy and to build the type of life I actually wanted? To pivot out and make less money in the short term for me, then yes. So I worked with my coach on that and it sucked. It sucked having to work through that.
What happened to our glasses, man? Now all of a sudden, now that there's no glasses, I have a bunch of Howieisms, and now we don't even put on the glass anymore. So what you said is what I tell my kids because they get nervous. They're like, Dad, what if I don't make enough money? I said, how you make your money is more important than how much money you make. So make sure you make it in a way that is important, that makes an impact, makes a difference. It has to be enough to live, but that's more important. You should be more worried about how you make your money than how much money you make.
And
there's a guy named Hormozy, right? He's all over social media, and the business model that is most attractive to me is one that has an initial lump sum and recurring revenue. It's like I don't want to even look at anything unless it would have those two elements.
I'm gonna have to look him up. I'm on social media and I didn't know about him.
Yeah,
he's everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, he's got the beard and he's unusually
Hormozy.
buff.
Okay.
Yeah, well, it's
I
because he
don't
started
like
off
it.
with a gym with a bunch of gym companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
I
wears a
appreciate his
nose strip.
marketing, except I kind of hate
Always
it. I
wears a nose
skip
strip.
those videos so
Okay,
fast.
I got it.
I respect him, but I cannot stand his videos. They're just not targeted at me, obviously. He targets like
But what do you think of
bros.
that concept? It's like if you're, obviously because your time is super important, right? You only have so much of it. But if you can have the initial lump sum to cover your costs, and you can have recurring revenue that is largely, or at least 30 to 50% all profit, then that to me is an interesting model.
Are
Well,
you talking
that's the
about
thing.
buying
That's
a
just a
business, or what are you?
business
No, he's saying having a business that you collect a lump sum to get started that covers all your costs.
Oh,
and
from
then
the
there's
client.
a recurring revenue from that client, and then you build up a bunch of them. And not only is it a great business model, that's about the only thing that makes your business saleable. Because if you get a lot of lump sums and you want to try to sell your company, they said, well, gee, they have a relationship with Mark. They're not going to buy all these lump sum things from Howie.
Contracts.
But if there's contracts, boom, with recurring revenue on something that's bringing value to the client, and they're kind of roncoing it, set it and forget it, and they're just paying the monthly. Now all of a sudden they're like, ooh, wow, we'll pay you a multiple on your recurring revenue, and then your company's worth something when you want to sell it.
Well, and that's the thing. At the end of the day, I see that more as a vehicle than I do just like, it comes down to Keaton's point. Are you willing to put in the work? If the lump sum is the work at the beginning, the recurring revenue is putting up a high amount of effort initially, high upfront cost, low long-term maintenance is what we're talking about. But you can have 6 of those types of business. Like me, coaching, is it going to be something I can sell? No.
But business owners step over dimes to pick up, step over nickels to pick up dimes. And they'll step over 50 nickels to get 1 dime. But you're right, it's hard because you're like, I'm not going to do all this stuff just to make $50 a month. But now you get $50 a month from 1,000 clients.
Okay, so let me give you a real world example of this, and because Heather's my coach, but I was saying no to 10-hour a week VAs. No, right? And I know there's other companies out there that won't do part-time VAs, let alone 10-hour VAs. But it's to that point. It's like I can still collect the hiring fees the same because it takes the same amount of work to hire a 10-hour person as it does to hire a 40-hour person, right? Because it's all custom. So why am I saying no to that? I mean, it's less monthly recurring revenue, but it's still recurring revenue, and it's still building a relationship, and it's a starting point that starts at 10, then goes to 20, goes to 30, goes to 40 hours. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said about that.
Do you take one 10-hour VA and just have them work for clients?
No. I do custom hire for everybody because then it's not fair. Let's say Howie wants a VA to work for him to do, what is something, web listings.
Web listings.
Okay, let's say, for example. Then you're like, well, she's doing a great job.
I want more time, and she's already fractioned out to 3 other people.
Sorry, yeah.
Right.
Now, she can do that on her own, but not through my company. Unless it was like, hey, if we have an opportunity, I would let you know, hey, somebody else is looking to hire to do the same kind of a thing. Are you okay with that? That kind of situation. Because they are going to look to fill in gaps if they need to. But to be able to start at 10 hours and then figure out how's this relationship going to work, and really, because, for solo entrepreneurs, which is a lot of people I deal with, they're gun shy about going too deep, too fast. Because it's like, well, I don't have 40 hours of work.
But the setup cost is the same, whether they hire a VA for 10 hours, 20 hours, or 40 hours, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So setup is the same. It's just the weekly or monthly price is lower.
Yeah, and we'll let them spread that out over three payments now, too.
Okay.
That's another thing, too. It's like tweaking from Hormozy, figuring out what is that irresistible offer. I mean, you make it so where it's like, it's almost stupid to say no. If somebody says no to
They're
being
stupid. And you tell them you're stupid.
No, I don't tell them
I'm
you're
just-
stupid. I definitely think it. But yeah, that's to your point. Stepping over, how many nickels am I going to step over? Just
Right.
trying to look for that dime or the dollar. So there was a time when I would only do full time too. So I love that. But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about web SEO.
Okay.
And what you're doing over there at Sharkmatic. A lot of people DIY their website. I've got that. It's like Howie's waiting on me to finish the transfer over there. But there's a lot to be said about professional SEO, professional website development, WordPress versus Wix and whatever's going on over there.
Yeah. So you can be successful by SEOing your own website,
But
by
people don't
building
even know
your
how
own
to do
site.
that.
Hold on one second. You can have a successful business without a business attorney. You can definitely start a business and run it without a coach. And you don't need VAs. I didn't know VAs existed up until I met you. Well, I had heard of them, but I didn't know what that meant, So you can do it without it. It's just not a smart business move because it might take you 2, 3, 4 years to ramp up. Whereas if you hire an ad agency like Sharkmatic that's built 1,100 websites and does SEO for a couple hundred clients, and we already figured it out, and for SEO, we're going to start you off at $350 a month, why on earth would you want to pay somebody to do it, or why would you want to learn it yourself? And you're never going to be as effective as we are because we know the tricks, the tips, the hacks. We already tested it.
Trust and belief, that is...
They don't even have to trust and believe us. All they have to do is go talk to our clients or look at our reviews of what our clients are saying. And not little clients. I mean, we've done stuff for Washtub, Methodist, Brake Check, and we've done stuff for a bunch of little clients. And it works. So if it works, that's the thing. That's where you have to get them over that hump, even in coaching, right? All you have to do is say, hey, listen, you don't have to believe me. Talk to these clients and see where they went from 6 months ago to today. Now, here we are, about to be half a year in on 2024. So do you want to be in the same spot December 31st, or do you want to hire a coach and get to where these people are?
So, I've been dragging my feet on that. Well, you got to be looking at me going, Mark, you just being stupid. What are you doing? What are your thoughts there? Because I'm like dragging my feet
I didn't think that about you.
I was going to say, do you want him to say something mean to you right now? Is that what you're looking for?
No, it's like, but aren't you like flabbergasted at some point, or do you just like, you don't even think about it?
No, I don't think about it.
Okay.
Once I talk to a client about something, but I'm at a different point in my career. We get calls daily, every other day. We start a new website. Almost every other day or third day, we start a new SEO client.
It's not like a business, but
it's not like a business. But the thing is, I can't keep track of everybody's shit. Like where are you on this?
He doesn't need your business.
No, it's not that. I'd love
to
to have it, but you're going to be a stickier, better client if you come to me and say, hey, man, I need what you're selling. That's why I always think of like drug pushers. That was the thing you call them, but like they don't push anything on you.
They give you a sample.
Yeah, exactly. They're people wanting, they're busting down your door at 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, buddy, where am I drug?
You want people coming to you, and those people are going to appreciate your value. They're going to give you the leeway you need.
I'm not talking about you chasing you.
Yeah.
I that's not what I'm talking about. But at some point, it's like with VA services. I mean, seriously, it's like, it's such a low-cost way to do amazing things. If you talk to any of my clients, and they're going to be like, yeah, this is kind of a no-brainer.
You know what I think about, not only with you, but with other people that I've spoken to about it, I think like, oh, you know what? They're probably doing great. They're doing awesome with their LinkedIn automation. They're connecting with enough people. They're getting enough business in the pipeline. SEO is just one way to bring in prospects. So is pay-per-click, so is networking, so is automation, so is social media. So if you have 3 or 4 things deployed, you're going to kill some terrorists.
Yeah, but to be honest, that bothers me that I don't have that set up and solid yet. It bugs me on a regular basis.
Well, then why haven't you done it?
Yeah, it's something I need
That's
to just
the
tell
coach's
Jim.
fault,
Boom.
man. I mean, I would be talking to your
it's
coach.
It's not my fault.
Because
I'm a grown man. It's not my fault.
No. After this, you can cry after this.
Hey, speaking of
Mark
which,
is getting more customers worth having a meeting with Howie and getting your stuff moved over?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many customers are you losing every day?
We can actually start SEO on clients' existing websites. We did that with To the Moon Moving. And then, I don't know, you're here to correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me from the success of the SEO on the old website with the additional business was what funded a website redesign.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what happened, right? Because your partner said, hey, once our business increases, then we want to pull the trigger on doing a new website. Mm-hmm. And then we did SEO for a while, and then we had a really good few months where your partner and you said, hey, man, wow, this SEO thing's working because we got new clients, and now we're about where we need to be with the money so we can.
So let's go there then. So I don't know. I know you're just a small part owner in To the Moon Moving.
Well, you don't know
Adam
his
Martinez.
percentage ownership.
No, I think I do, but I'm not going to say it. But anyway, so you guys have been using. Tell us about that journey with Howie in Sharkmatic, as much as you know.
Sure. Well, so I am a little bit more distant. So my approach is not only I think Howie's company has a lot of different offerings, my personal favorite is the fact that Howie, him and of himself, is going to tell everybody he knows always about you and your business. So I think in addition to you having a great marketing agency, I think just knowing you and being a client of yours automatically gets your word. You're going to reach a lot more ears in general. So from my perspective, it seems like a no-brainer to bring you individually on the team, and then also have your team, help out with everything on the back end. So I don't know if that really answered your question or not.
No,
Can
it's
I
not a
ask
fair answer.
something for yours?
Whatever.
How much time is it going to cost Mark to get everything set up?
Well,
I think there's. I
already
don't think
paid
there's.
for it.
I don't think there's.
No,
a
no,
lot
no.
of
I
paper.
mean time.
Right.
Like,
No,
what
I
is Mark
understand
going to
your
have to
question.
do?
I don't think we really had to
It's
do
going to
anything.
take 10 minutes to get.
I'm going to
the
disagree on
access.
that, and I'll tell you why. I think what happened is I got too involved in all of the verbiage and stuff that's going on
But
there.
we're not talking about to finish the site we're
Oh,
designing for
what are
you.
we talking about?
Just to
It's
get
for us
SEO
to
set
start
up.
SEO on your current site. It's going
Oh.
to take 10 minutes to get the user the proper access to your current site for us to set up and start SEO and put the right key.
Can you
terms on
really
the website.
optimize my site on Wix?
Not only can we optimize it, we're not going to be able to optimize it as well as we can optimize a WordPress open platform site.
Yeah.
But we'll be able to take and port what we do on your current site and move it to your new site once the new site is done.
How many clients would it take to completely pay for the new website?
Well, I had one client would pay for that.
All right,
I
so
mean,
it's,
we've been working on this for a bit.
That's
So
the
if you got
thing,
one
so-
client, it would make sense.
Yeah.
so is it worth 10 minutes?
It's not really the
But the 10 minutes is not to finish the new
no,
site.
it's just to get
it's to get the SEO on the
And as
existing
soon as
site.
Mark gets one client from that SEO,
Right.
I would bet money that you get so excited about the fact that more clients are coming in because of SEO that you are then motivated to do the extra work it's going to take to develop the website. Because if you're already getting clients just by optimizing your Wix site, how many more would you get by optimizing a WordPress site?
yeah.
I never even thought about it that way.
Right. Well, that's why you have a business coach. So I'll tell you all a super cool story. A few years ago, we had a client named Stablemate, and they did horse betting. So not betting like I'll bet you $100
Oh,
that
I've
this
used
horse wins.
Stablemate.
Like, yeah, for the horses to sleep on. They're pine shavings. Coincidentally, they were buying them from another client of mine who was a Superdor that shaved down all these doors, and they ended up with all this extra material. Anyway, they would bag it and they would brand it, and we did the design for the bags and the MSDS sheets and the website and all that stuff. So I'm talking to the owners. I said, hey, what about SEO, search engine? What is that? I go, search engine optimization. What is that? I said, well, we put keywords, organic, and all this stuff so that more organically people will find your website if they're looking for horse betting and they're looking for whatever. Well, you know what? We're not really marketing our product because we sell to farm and feed stores and then they're marketing it. I'm like, yeah, but there's no downside to you marketing it, even if they can't buy from you directly, because then you send them to the retailer. Oh, I never thought about that. Okay, we want to do that SEO thing. I said, okay, great. So we start doing it. We follow their analytics. We report back to the client. And wow, you're getting, 10x the number of views on the website, more clicks, people spending more time on the site, people finding it organically, and all that stuff. So then my then bookkeeper, in-house bookkeeper, calls me because it's not email. It was somebody that worked for me back in the day. And he says, hey, Stablemate just called. What? They want to cancel SEO. What? What's wrong with them? Are they stupid? Their SEO is like their numbers are great. They're like, he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah. And he apologized and everything. He said, you may want to call them. So I call the client. I go, hey, what's going on? Are we screwing up? What's going on? Your numbers look great. I mean, I'm like blabbing, right? He said, no. Somebody with a horse farm in Colorado found us. They said they did a Google search. They found us. This was about 4 months ago. They started buying from us, and they manage 30 horse farms from Colorado all the way to California. So we just closed the deal with them for them to buy all our production for the next 5 years. So now we don't have any more capacity. So we're going to stop selling to the feed stores. We're going to stop selling to everybody. We're selling everything we make to them, and we have a contract for the next 5 years. So I don't even want, I actually want to shut the website down. I'm like, oh, well, that's a good problem to have. He goes, but I'll pay you for a year of SEO. I'm like, no, you don't have to. I said, dude, it's pay for play. So I appreciate the offer, but I go, no, thank. I go, I'm glad it worked out. Can I get a testimonial?
Great story.
And he didn't leave one. But he said nice things about me, to other people. But then I came to find out that company ended up buying their company because they wanted the access to getting all the materials. They didn't want to just buy it from them. They wanted to.
I was surprised they didn't just buy the stablemate company.
That's what
outright.
they did. They eventually did
sounds
it.
like that's
they
what
got
happened.
smart and they eventually bought the company.
Eliminate the middleman.
But you know what? That client went on to start 2 other companies, and guess who they hired to do their branding and their website and their SEO for the 2 new companies. So,
Speaking of buying, selling companies, so there's back to the Hormozi deal. He has this thing where his goal is to provide resources so companies, businesses can make it to that $3 million in revenue, annual revenue, $3 to $10 million. You got a smirk on your face.
Yeah, so he can buy them after. How crazy
No,
is
he wants
that?
to partner with them.
Yeah, he
and
wants
take
to
take a
VC
share
partner
to
on
get them
them.
past that, which is interesting. But that has helped me even come up with the idea of, okay, well, then I should at least have a goal to try and get my business to $3 million. Not that I'm looking to sell it or whatever, but it's an interim goal. I didn't even really know how to conceptualize that or that was a thing, but that's now a goal of mine is to get it to $3 million. Maybe it'll open doors. I mean, I think selling my company or partnering with somebody who can really kind of make it exciting and take it to the next level. 100% of zero is zero, but you know what I
right.
mean?
But
It's like-
30% of a $100 million company is a lot of money.
And
Yeah.
it could be a lot
Exciting.
of fun too.
Well, that's what I love about like Alex Hormozi and Cody Sanchez and some of these like big, loud thinkers. Because, they can be very loud, but they put ideas in your head that you just never would have thought of before. It's why I read so many books and listen to so many podcasts.
So let me flip it upside down real quick for a second. And I know we're looking at time here.
We
but
gotta wrap up quick.
yeah, but I am more of a fan of singles and bunts than I am of hitting home runs. And a home run is getting to 3 million, selling the company, partnering with somebody that takes you to 10 million, all that stuff. Sounds super awesome. The TV shows are really cool of these $100 million listings and all this other stuff. But man, you could really live an extraordinary life by netting a couple $100K, $300,000 a year, owning your own business and going to see your kids play soccer and going to the coast and you're just having a good time. It's not going to get you a helicopter landing pad on your house and all that stuff. But you know what? Your fall is not that high either when the economy changes.
But that's the thing, like everyone's definition of success is wildly different. And I think it's just about designing your life instead of letting it take you wherever it chooses. Because if you don't decide, if you don't choose, if you don't decide on a goal, time will still go by and life will decide for you. Like, what's the worst decision? It's just not deciding. Yes or no, at least you chose. And so, like, so many people just kind of let things happen to them. And the more I get into entrepreneurship and I coach more people that think this way, it's a little shocking to me.
Yeah, but you know why? Because they take no responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't make that decision. This just happened to me. Then you become a victim of circumstance and you live below the line. Whereas if you consciously make an effort to have a goal, to achieve it, to do, like you said, whatever it takes, and if you don't meet it, it's on you.
Yeah.
And
if you're
that's
not
why
willing-
people don't want to make decisions. They rather decide what they're going to wear that day and how they're going to match their top to their bottom and all this stuff than what they're going to do with their life.
It's like the side of the table, yeah.
Then what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do in terms of my business? Where do I see my business a year from now, 3 years from now? It's too scary to go there.
And
Well,
I
there's
think-
a quote from Braveheart, and we need to wrap it up, but there's, many years from now when you're lying in your bed dying, would you be willing to trade all the days from this to that to go back and tell your enemies you can take my life, but you can't take my freedom?
Oof,
Right?
I love
That's a great quote. But when you think about your life that way, that was impactful for me choosing to retire from the police department at 24 years instead of 30 or 33 or 40 years. Some people stick around way too long. But it's like, those are productive years. I don't want to end up on my deathbed going, I wish I would have. You know what I mean? That's not for me. So, all right. We got to wrap up, but great show, everybody.
Yeah.
I thought
This
that was
was
a great
fun.
conversation. As we wrap up the show, a quick reminder, check out our latest podcast and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. That's going to be it for this one. You guys have a great week, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.